Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and walking to your local coffee shop. You order your usual black coffee. The barista looks at the screen, hesitates, and says, "That will be $500, please." You laugh, thinking it's a joke, but nobody else is laughing. You check your phone. The news alerts are flashing red. The United States dollar, the bedrock of the global economy for 80 years, has entered free fall. This is not a recession. This is not a depression. This is hyperinflation, the moment when money becomes trash. Welcome to the simulation of the day the dollar died. The collapse doesn't start with a bang, but with a whisper. It begins in the bond markets, invisible to the average citizen. Foreign nations, losing faith in the US debt, begin to dump trillions of dollars in treasury bonds all at once. China, Japan, and Saudi Arabia coordinate the sell-off in silence, flooding the market with American paper. The value of the currency plummets. By 9 o'clock in the morning, the stock market opens and immediately crashes. The Dow Jones loses 3,000 points in the first 7 minutes. Circuit breakers are triggered. Trading is halted within minutes, but the panic has already escaped Wall Street. It hits Main Street through the gas pumps. The price of fuel jumps from $4 a gallon to $20 in a single hour. Algorithms controlling the prices automatically adjust, sending a shockwave through the supply chain. Truckers filling their tanks stare at the numbers in disbelief. Some refuse to pay. Others pay, knowing they will never recover the cost. By noon, the digital run on the banks begins. Millions of Americans log into their banking apps to transfer their savings into something stable. Gold, Bitcoin, euros, anything but dollars. The banking servers crash under the load. Error messages flash across screens. Customer service lines are jammed. ATMs run dry within 45 minutes. People rush to grocery stores, not to buy food for the week, but to convert their shrinking paychecks into physical goods. A can of soup is worth more than a $20 bill. The checkout lines stretch out the doors. Fistfights break out over the last bags of rice. The velocity of money accelerates to a blur. As soon as people get paid, they spend it, because if they wait an hour, their money will buy half as much. Employers begin paying workers twice a day just to keep up with the inflation rate. By evening, prices have doubled again. A gallon of milk that cost $6 in the morning now costs $40. The numbers lose all meaning. Day 3 brings the halt of commerce. Truck drivers refuse to deliver goods because the money they would be paid on delivery won't cover the cost of the fuel to get there. The supply chain freezes. Supermarkets, already picked clean by panic buyers, stay empty. Without a stable medium of exchange, the complex web of modern logistics snaps. Cities, which rely on thousands of trucks arriving daily, begin to starve. Restaurants close. Gas stations shut down. The illusion of wealth evaporates. The millionaire with $10 million in the bank is now just as poor as the man on the street, because neither can buy a loaf of bread. Retirement accounts, college funds, and life savings vanish overnight. The elderly, who spent decades saving, are left with nothing. The digital numbers in their accounts are meaningless. The stock certificates are worthless. The bonds are trash. Wealth, built over a lifetime, is erased in 72 hours. Week 2 marks the return of the barter system. In the suburbs and cities, informal markets spring up. People trade silver coins, ammunition, alcohol, and medicine. These become the new currency. A bottle of whiskey is worth more than a $1,000 bill. A box of antibiotics can buy a week's worth of food. The US government attempts to print more money to pay its debts and soldiers, but this only pours gasoline on the fire. We see the wheelbarrow effect, famously seen in Weimar, Germany and Zimbabwe, where it takes a backpack full of cash just to buy lunch. Children play with stacks of $100 bills, like Monopoly money. The social contract breaks down. Police officers and firefighters stop showing up to work because their salaries are worthless. Why risk your life for paper that can't feed your family? Crime explodes. Looting becomes organized. Gangs take control of entire neighborhoods, offering protection in exchange for food and goods. The government declares martial law, but the military is fracturing. Soldiers desert to protect their own families. The chain of command collapses. Month 1. The global implications are catastrophic. The dollar was the world's reserve currency. When it dies, international trade stops. Container ships sit idle in ports because no one will accept payment in dollars. Oil shipments across the oceans cease. Countries that pegged their currency to the dollar see their economies evaporate overnight. Argentina, Egypt, and Turkey spiral into chaos. The geopolitical balance of power shifts instantly. Rivals of the United States seize the opportunity. China and Russia introduce a new gold-backed currency, the Eurasian standard, effectively ending the American century. European nations, desperate to stabilize, join the new system. The U.S. military, unable to be paid or supplied, is forced to abandon bases overseas. Troops in Germany, Japan, and South Korea are airlifted home to a nation that is unrecognizable. The aircraft carriers return to ports where the docks are empty and the cities are dark. Year 1. The dust settles, but the landscape has changed forever. A new currency is eventually issued, perhaps digital, perhaps backed by hard assets, but the savings of 3 generations have been wiped out. The middle class has been erased. Society is now divided into 2 groups: those who owned physical assets, land, gold, tools, and those who held paper. The skyscrapers of New York still stand. The factories are still there. The roads and bridges remain. But the trust that greased the gears of the machine is gone. The American dream, the promise that hard work and savings would lead to prosperity, is revealed as a lie. The retirees who played by the rules are destitute. The young who took on debt for education are crushed. The nation that once defined the modern world is now a cautionary tale, a monument to the fragility of fiat currency. So, what if the dollar died tomorrow? It forces us to ask a terrifying question. What is money really? It is not gold. It is not paper. It is not code. Money is trust. It is a collective hallucination that we all agree to participate in. We agree that this piece of green paper is worth a meal, a ride, or a home. But trust is fragile, and once it is broken, it cannot be printed back into existence. Governments can decree that a currency has value, but they cannot force people to believe it. In the end, true wealth is not what you have in the bank, but what you can do, what you can grow, and who you can trust when the numbers on the screen go to 0. The dollar is not backed by gold. It is backed by faith. And faith, once lost, is the hardest thing in the world to restore.
Only the quiet acknowledgement that our faith in it was